Hi, we're here together today with Mark, who have Lupan, and he's a handpan maker. And I would love to talk to you a little about the handpan, Mark. So first, where did you play your first handpan? Do you remember where?
Barcelona. And actually no. In Germany, in Leipzig, a friend of mine was studying percussion also.
Yeah.
He had one, and he came with one with the original handpan art.
Yeah.
And he told me, you can go to Switzerland and buy it. And that's the first time I saw it. Yeah. I remember I was like, wow, that's a totally different sound, and I never listened to this kind of sound. You know, there is the vibraphone, which is like metal sound, in a way, but still, as a musician, I was like thinking, oh, it's only 8 notes. I didn't see the value.
It's not enough.
Yeah. I think many musicians think like that. What do I do with 8 notes?
Yeah.
Till I saw somebody play it, like more sophisticated, and then I understood, okay, that's what you can do with this instrument. And then I realized, okay, it's not the 8 notes. If you just see it as the notes, you're limited. You can still do your chord progressions, but you have not many chord progressions. If you just have one scale, but still. But if you think about the whole percussive world which is there, you know, the whole tabla technique or frame drum technique, or if you bring that into, it's really interesting, because you have then suddenly, okay, you have 8 drums with
8 different drums almost.
8 different tuned drums. Like it starts, because a drum is a membrane, and you play, like djembe playing is just 3 notes, and you can do so much in a way. So if you just one note can be basically played as, you know, you can do music in a way just with one note.
But you come from percussion originally, and then at some point, now where you're making handpans professionally, you must have ended up falling in love with the instrument. And if it wasn't in Leipzig the first time, then where did you try it and was like, I must have one?
It was in Barcelona.
Yeah.
In Barcelona, when I started, I met a lot of handpan players in Barcelona.
Yeah.
And that's where I saw different techniques, how it's played and everything. But actually, the first years I didn't. I had my own instrument. Like I play harp, I play kora, so I was basically playing with them. And sometimes I would, I'm a percussionist, so it's like actually an easy access for me. This instrument it's percussion. So. Without much practicing, I could play 1 or 2 songs with the people, you know. Yeah, to play his instruments more than me. It was difficult to buy once when I finally, you know, was interested. It was like there was a long waiting list, so I didn't. And the prices for reselling were really high.
Yeah,
like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000.
Yeah.
So I didn't buy one. Also, I was playing with all these handpan players, and I tell you, they had like 3 hangs everybody. So
that was also
it was accessible to
borrow.
me. Yeah, I could borrow anytime, or I could when I wanted to play. But basically, I mostly played with them. But I was seeing the handpan world, how it develops, and that there's not many makers, and that it's like difficult to make, you know, it's an art to tune steel. And I got you know, it's interesting to do something new, also to try to. I was doing instruments, you know, I had always this part of musician also, but also having my workshop and my, doing things with the hands.
So you made drums yourself when you were a percussionist also? Or?
Well, I was changing the skin of the drums, and not really building drums, but I was building chorus.
Okay.
The chorus is what I built them. So it's I was building these African harps, ngoni and chorus. So I had my workshop, and I enjoyed that also, to build an instrument. So I thought, let's give it a try, and it can't be so difficult, I thought.
Because there's only 8 notes.
No, because it's an art, but everything, you can learn everything. It was a different metal, it came from wood, let's say, from woodworking in a way.
Yeah.
To steel sheet. And but it was very interesting. I mean, it still is. I'm still learning about how to make it perfect.
Yeah. But what is it about the metal that is fun to work with? We saw you work earlier, and it's a lot of hammering, and at the same time it looks like you disappear into the sound and have kind of a communication with the metal.
Yes. Well, yes. I don't know how to put it in words. I mean, it's a lot of concentration when I tune. That's a big difference between doing other instruments. Like when I was doing chorus, I could say it's carpentry. Like I know I have to cut this wood like this and do the holes here and put the pegs and skin the calabash, whatever. It's there are tricks, and things you need to know to make a good instrument, of course, like the measurements and stuff, and how do you tension the skin and whatever, how do you cut the wood so it doesn't splinter. Okay, but apart from that, I could listen to music while doing it. It's like easy work. It takes a lot of time, but it's easy in a way. I can show you how to make a kora in 2 days.
Okay. And I could learn to make a kora. Yeah.
If you are talented or good with tools.
Okay, I cannot. But okay.
A minimum of
skills.
of talent or skills, like with tools.
Yeah.
Like a carpenter could do a kora really fast.
Okay.
And but this thing, you have to hammer at least 1 year on your own and try to find out, because you don't see, you can, even if you watch me doing and I start explaining you why I hit here and how hard I hit, you don't feel how hard I hit, because you don't see it. You don't, the angle I'm touching and the force is very, I can feel it, but you have to experience it. So you would have to search, because if I give this stroke a little bit different, the octave maybe is rising, and with this stroke I actually brought it down. But so you have to find out how it reacts, and it takes longer time to learn how to tune steel. And of course there's people who are talented and others who take longer time or other shorter.
And when we looked at the actually I will bring one. This is the handpan when you buy the metal.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, well, it is.
Yeah, and then you go to that one, and for me it's 2 different things, and isn't it a wonderful travel to follow an instrument from here to there?
It is. Well, yeah. Well, it's just
because this compared to it doesn't sound like a handpan.
It's interesting, it just sounds because it has this bottom glue to it.
Yeah.
If not, it doesn't sound.
Yeah.
Like it sounds in the rings.
Yeah.
But outside of the rings, it doesn't sound. The middle note, it sounds a little bit, but it's not.
No. Okay, yeah.
If I hold it like this, a little bit, the note sound. But look, it's weird. And it's just glued with a rubbery type, silicone type glue. So it needs this.
But how is it to hear it after, I don't know how many hours you put into playing one instrument or making it? Because it seems like there are many hours from going from this one
There is
to
a
this
couple of
one.
hours. I don't know. There are different stages.
Yeah, and you never do one from start to finish. Probably.
Yeah, I always do 2 or 4 in a row. You know, so yeah, I never calculated how much time I need to do the cupolas. Maybe, yeah, it depends. 1 hour, 2 hours to make the cupolas.
And then the tuning and you bake
And then the
it.
shaping first. The shaping is the tough part where you shape it with a pneumatic hammer. You do all the work in between the notes.
Yeah.
And then you tune it up to 3 times.
And then is it you bake it like it was a bread more or less, and that's to keep the vibrations, or how was it?
Is to loosen up the tensions. It wouldn't get out of tune so fast.
Okay.
Basically, I think it's more for that. It also opens up the sound a little bit. It takes away the too many tensions I have here from the shaping, you know, which these tensions could cause
So
detuning.
what you're saying more or less is that when you work with it, the metal gets stressed, and then it gets into a long, very hot sauna, and then it relaxes, so it's better to play.
No, it relaxes. It's better for me to work with.
Ah.
It makes the sound better on one hand.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it prevents that it would get out of tune. If there's tension here, after some time, this note is going to get out of tune.
Okay.
So it's like an effect I need for stabilizing.
Yeah.
Stabilizing that I wanted to keep the tune for a long time.
So to understand your history correct, then there wasn't a lot of handpans around, and you was thinking, okay, why not make one yourself? And how long time did it take from you got the idea till you were sitting with your own first handpan?
Wow, 3 years.
3 years, wow.
Well, I have the first prototype here. Actually, this was maybe 1.5 years only.
1.5 years?
But it's not really good handpan, you know. A lot of that was the first try.
That was the first one?
Yeah, I even used a shell I already hammered and tried. You know, it was a scrap shell.
Yeah.
I used as a bottom because I didn't want to use it. I knew it was not going to be
perfect. Yeah.
Perfect, so I'm not going to sell it. So that's why I kept it in the end. In a museum. So anyway, it's a really short sustain. So I was fighting with having sustain in the beginning.
Yeah.
So then later started Lupan and Ayasa to sell shells.
Yeah, like this one.
Preformed shells, because before I would buy the flat sheet.
So the first one you made was a flat sheet.
Yeah, these were flat sheets, and
Oh,
I would sink it first with these pneumatic hammers.
Yeah. Wow.
Or by hand. I started by hand with the big wooden mallet.
Yeah.
By hand you can make a perfect book just with one hammer.
Okay.
With the same hammer from beginning till end, you can. There's a technique even with a metal ball.
Yeah.
That's from the steel pan, because they sink the oil barrels.
Yeah.
And you can do it with a big ball of steel. You know, you let it fall and you hit, but by jumping with this ball.
Yeah.
You catch it again all the time.
Yeah. No.
It's like, it's a different technique. I never tried it actually.
No.
So.
But there must be a lot of hours saved in getting the shells.
Yes, and also somebody doing shells, they take away from you the work to look which is the good one, because they try it first. They try it first. You hear that it sounds good, you can buy it. So it's like, the thing that they started to sell shells was a big changer. That's why
so you're saying the metal sounds good, so they are listening to that. This is good metal.
No. They have to try it out. Like an instrument, see if it's
an instrument out of that.
You cannot really say it by the pure sound.
No. Okay, so they make an instrument, and it's like, okay, this metal we have bought now is good for making handpans.
Exactly.
How much have you learned about steel by working with them? And how many years have you made handpans now from the first one?
It's like 7 years now.
7 years, but you have, from that sound over there to this one?
Yeah, well, but just, I mean, this one, yes, of course, it's getting better. But even 2 years after that one, it was already similar.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, but it was a lot, was the steel. This was not good steel. This, you cannot make it sound better.
Okay.
You cannot make it have more sustain in a way.
No.
Even now, if I would work it, maybe a little bit because I have more experience, but not really. It's a lot about the material. It's a lot about the tuning technique, but it's also the material, the base material is.
What is your favorite part of making the handpan? Because there's many processes from here to this one, and I saw you hammer, and it was really interesting to just see how you get into this dialogue more or less with the metal and the sounds and where you're hitting. But what is your most favorite part of building an instrument?
Gluing it.
Selling it.
Yeah, gluing it.
When I write the check.
Yeah, no.
Not the check. No, well, gluing actually is a certain satisfaction because you like finish the work, you know,
Yeah.
like whatever art piece you do, when you finish it and you put the oil on it, on a wooden sculpture, for example, it's a satisfying because you finished it. But in the work thing, it's the tuning probably here.
Yeah.
Not the shaping. The shaping is like more physical work.
Yeah.
And it's there is small satisfaction in everything if it turns out nice, you know. You like do a line with the shaping hammer and I made a really nice contour, like gives you satisfaction also in a way.
Yeah.
But the tuning is also the most demanding action. It's because you're like, as you say, you concentrate. If you start to, you can call it, I talk with this membrane, you know, to convince it to sound like I want to.
Yeah.
Or I fight with it.
Yeah. It's a love affair. Yeah.
Or it's a love affair, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a love-hate affair because sometimes it doesn't listen to me.
No. Yeah.
It doesn't want to lower this octave or raise this fifth or whatever.
No.
And sometimes it just does it like. But anyway, so it's interesting because it's also it's the main art, yeah, the art of tuning to bring it to, and it's not just tuning actually, it's the whole. I can, you know, the how it sounds, you know, the timbre you can get.
Yeah.
It's like it has a lot to do with the shape and the compression and the tensions you have in that note.
Is there a scale you prefer to make your instruments in compared to others? Or?
Yeah, well, the scales mostly, which I like to play most.
Yeah.
You know, they're the most interesting. But from a maker's point of view, it's easier to make easier scales. I mean,
Okay.
they are easier. The higher the notes, actually, it's easier.
Okay.
Because I don't have to pack them so close.
Yeah.
So they are free, so I don't care. So I don't have to take care about interference. Interference is when two notes would activate each other, neighboring notes.
Yeah.
So this is one problem of handpan.
So the higher notes are smaller and therefore they are wider apart on the handpan. To understand it correctly.
No, what do you mean? No, the size of the note is just equivalent to the frequency. So low, it gets higher, it's a smaller membrane.
Okay.
The higher it is, the smaller membrane. But it's about yeah, I mean, no, if I would have like 7 notes here, you know, take one out and move it.
Yeah.
I have so much space between note and note
That they won't interfere.
I don't have to turn them and check the interference because there is none.
No.
You know? So it's easier to make 8 noters than to make the mutant ones, which have like I don't have any here.
Oh no,
You
but
know
the
that
ones.
they have
The two extra ones.
the
Yeah.
two extra ones. There you have to work a little bit differently and to have to take a lot of care that it doesn't make interference. You know, it must be very
Have
well
you ever
placed.
made a handpan where you're like, okay, I won't sell this. It's too good. I'm too happy with
It's
it.
too good.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Well, no, and yes, there is sometimes you say, wow, this, I really like how it sounds, it's perfect. Like if it's all perfect, I should keep it.
Yeah.
So I show people, look what I can do.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I take it like as if somebody sees an instrument and wants it.
Yeah.
Then I always think I can do another one. And I should be able to do it just as good or even better.
Of course. Yeah.
So that's why I let it go always.
Yeah. And I understood when we heard you working with it down there that you were trying new things. So it sounds like you're challenging yourself in how you can build it still. You're not finished learning.
No, not finished learning.
What was it you challenged yourself to?
It's like a musician. You
can always make a
never
better one.
stop studying, actually. You never stop. It's not even the highest. They still, if you're super high level as a musician, you keep practicing just to stay with the velocity.
Yeah.
But you're still learning.
What is it you're pushing yourself to now? What are you focusing on learning while you're building?
Well, everything. Perfect sound, which for me is like strong volume.
Yeah.
But to each note, equilibrate it, like it shouldn't sound much louder one note than the other. There are all small differences. Then the way to control the harmonics, that they don't shout too loud, they don't scream.
No.
Then there's the interference thing. You don't want to have interference between two notes. You know, so yeah, there's still ways to, it can always be better. It's never perfect. This is an instrument which is never perfect. That's why you can always say, oh, this one note, it's a little bit more tense than this one.
Yeah.
It's we try to do the best, or I try to do the best I can, but it's never perfect.
No.
Which is it's at the same time it's a curse. And it's sometimes like when I was doing harps, or they all end up perfect. There's no, there's not much.
No, that's not. What's the challenge? Yeah.
Yeah. And here you have the challenge, which is a curse sometimes, because you're like, wow, why this note in the last one it was like perfect, and now it's like a little bit tense, or
yeah.
But it's all about the experience, and then you learn new stuff every day.
And if anybody who's watching this wanted to say to themselves, okay, maybe I should create a handpan, what advice would you give them?
What advice I would give them?
Yeah.
To try out different ones.
Well, and you mean different ones, then what do you mean?
Different brands.
Different brands.
If you are thinking about different brand, buying a handpan and you don't know.
No, I was thinking about if you wanted to create a handpan.
To build one.
Yeah.
To start a building.
Yeah.
The other question is also interesting.
Yeah, let's take the other one first and then jump to this one.
Just as you asked me, because I see this often. People want to buy their first handpan and they see like 10 brands and they don't know which one is better.
No.
So now there is no, So of course they have to judge by videos. Okay, you can do that in a certain degree. The best is if you can try different out. Like you go to a handpan festival and then you see all kinds of instruments of different brands. Or you go to a shop who has different brands, but mostly shops are limited in 2-3 brands max. But anyway, if you have a possibility to try different brands, and then when you try them, I see most people doing like they would be afraid of the instrument, like at this volume.
Yeah.
So if you play at this volume, most of the handpan sound good. Like it's okay. You have to
I
play
saw
a
you
bit.
hammer very hard on it from time to time when you.
No, that's a different thing. But if you play like this, they all sound pretty similar. If you play, you have to play it a little bit louder. That's a good test. And if you play at this volume, you realize there you will see difference between with other handpans. A bad quality. If I
Then it will start to resonate. Some
it
of
would
the other.
start to like sound weird
Yeah.
and fluffy or something, then you know, it's not really. This also can be an indicator it would go out of tune fast.
Yeah.
You know, if you can hit it hard and it still stays there, the same frequency, it responds to. It's not supposed that you play so loud, but it's a good test to see the quality of the membrane if it's stable. And I hit it so hard with the stick to see if it stays there when I tune. Because with a strong stroke, if it gets out of tune, it means this tension was already there. It just jumped there.
Okay.
It's like a string pulling.
Yeah.
It just jumped there. That means if I don't do this now it's tuned, I give it to you. But in 3 months, this tension over time, the metal is working.
Yeah.
It's going towards there, and after half a year, maybe you tell me, this note is a little bit out of tune.
Yeah.
So to prevent that, every tuner has to, normally
make sure they don't go
make
out.
sure they don't go out of tune. It's a test of stability. And the other question, what would be my advice for somebody who wants to make them?
Yeah. Don't give up.
Yeah, well, don't give up. Well, it's your choice. If you give up,
Yeah.
maybe you have something better to do.
Of course.
It's okay. I don't say don't give up, but I say, well, it's not a fast entry. It's like it takes a year, at least. But you need a place where you can make noise, and you can just start by sinking a oil barrel. And see if you
just to start
wooden
to learn.
hammer to start to see if you want to, if it's your thing to hammer steel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because that's a big part of it. Yeah.
You first should just take an oil drum, a wooden mallet, round a wooden mallet, and try to make this.
Yeah.
From a bottom of a steel
Because
barrel.
if you don't like to hammer steel, you're in the wrong business.
Yeah, you stop there already.
Yeah.
You don't finish that. If you finish that, you can cut it, and you already have one shell, and you can go and see makers. But if you go and see a maker from scratch, I would say it's not worth it to go to a maker. There's some makers who offer like, come 1 week, you pay 3,000 and make your handpan. And take one handpan home, for example, which means he lets you hammer a little bit on some shells, then he finishes it.
Yeah.
And you maybe take it. Okay. But that is where you don't learn much. You get an entry of what tools are used and stuff, but this you can already see in a lot of YouTube videos.
Yeah.
So what you need is practice to have these tuning rings, get your tuning rings, get some shells.
Yeah.
Because also the good thing now is Ayasa shells, they sound. Other makers made it sound.
Yeah.
It's not like you buy a steel somewhere. That's why there were so few makers also before. In a way, because you wouldn't need to buy your steel, and in the beginning you don't know. I was in the first 2 years, I didn't know if my metal was bad or if I cannot make it sound.
Yeah.
That was a good thing that my teacher or the guy who I learned with, he came to my workshops from time to time, and he would confirm if the metal is workable or not, because he would make it sound or not.
Yeah.
So but if you don't have that, it's difficult. You don't know if it's your technique is wrong or the metal. So now you have metal which it sounds, and so it's you have to understand how the
Yeah.
the basic information, how to see shaping and stuff. It's already out there, so you need a lot of practice.
A lot of practice.
You just need a lot of practice and to understand what's going on with this membrane and how can you tune it.
Yeah. Mark, I want to thank you for your time and ask if we
Welcome.
could ask you to give a little short tune on this wonderful one you have played here.
Okay.
If it's in tune and you're happy with it.
It is.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.